Well, howdy there. Welcome to Stewie MTG, continuing our deck series. Looking at today our Azorius color combination with Ranar, the Everwatchful. Obviously, you can tell, or at least by the hint in the box, that this is a Fortell deck and Blink. Ranar, the Everwatchful, 2/3 for 4 mana, 2 and Azorius. Flying Vigilance, first card you foretell each turn, it costs 0 to foretell. And whenever you exile one or more cards from your hand and or permanents from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So we want to blink. Each time we blink, for each permanent that's blinked, we'll get a spirit. Then we also have a small selection of foretell because there's not much. The only thing about this particular commander, since he was the special commander in the series for the set, is it's a Pringle chip. It's in a sleeve. It's actually double sleeved. I've pressed down on this. I've had this deck now a few months, and it's still a Pringles chip. Wow, that glare is horrible. Sorry about that. Let me make it. There we go. Make it a little bit better for you. So that's Ranar, the Everwatchful. And let's go ahead and look at, speaking of Foretell, the Foretell options that I grabbed for this deck. First off, we have Iron Verdict for some removal. We have Saw It Coming. I love the flavor of the name. I saw that one coming. Excellent removal in Raven form. I'm sticking now, I've gone through pretty much all of my decks, and any deck that's got blue, and if I don't have a white or black with it that has good removal options, Raven form is great. Another in card selection and draw with Behold the Multiverse. We have an Anthem type effect with Warhorn Blast. And lastly, a bounce alternative for our opponent's creatures with Spectral Deluge. All of these being our Foretell options. Unfortunately, there's not really a lot of good Foretell options, but that's kind of not my focus with this deck. My focus with this deck actually is the bounce that we will look at soon. But before we get there, we gotta have mana to pay for all this bounce. So let's go and take a look at our ramp. We've got Soul Ring, Azorius Signet, Arcane Signet, Sky Diamond, Marble Diamond, Commander Sphere, and Replicating Ring. Next up, let's go ahead and look at our Planeswalkers. I did choose a somewhat of a Pillow Fort theme with the deck, especially since we're blinking and have the ability to blink and or protect our creature and our board, lends us to being more of a Pillow Fort type deck. So my choices actually for Planeswalkers are Teo the Shield Mage, and then the Wanderer, to help both protect us as far as spells and our creatures in combat and non-combat damage. Well, speaking of creatures, let us go ahead and dive into the creatures that I did select for this deck, and then dive into the first kind of combo situation that we have with the deck. Since we are going to be blinking many of our creatures to get value, to get extra spirit tokens, I wanted ETB, or Leaves the Battlefield, triggers on the creatures, such as Charming Prince. Another ramp option in Cartfell Harbinger. The new Pilgrim of the Ages for a form of ramp. Of course, grabbing another legendary creature with Vega the Watcher. So each time we actually play those Foretell cards, we get to draw a card. We have some Spirit tribal buffs, if we're going to be getting 1/1 spirit tokens, might as well make them bigger with and hexproof with something like Jog Skull Captain. Or a little bit buffer with Empyrean Eagle. Want to bounce some more things with ETBs to have some shenanigans with things like Flicker Wisp. Or the same thing with Soul Herder. Celestial Crusader is a spirit that also gives a buff. Phantom General gives all of those spirit tokens +1. Then kind of a hidden or maybe even secondary commander in Brago King Eternal with that continuous bounce. Another buff for our creatures, since the majority of them are going to be having flying, is Thunderclasp Wyvern. A bounce target to gain life and draw cards with Elite Guild range. Bounce with some Sawtooth Loon. Cloud Blazer for life gain and card draw. Geist Honored Monk for more tokens and to have a big beater. Ethereal Valkyrie, you know me, I like my angels, and we'll see some here in a moment. And kind of a flavor and fun include with Aetherling to use up any extra mana that we have. Now the only combo that I really have in here is your normal Revelark and Karmic Guide combo to continually bring out creatures from the graveyard to play, get the ETB, flicker, bounce, all those shenanigans that come with. And some of my main targets for this are going to be things like Restoration Angel, card draw with Muldrifter, more recursion from the graveyard with Sun Titan, and potentially infinite mana with Peregrine Drake. Those are the creatures of the deck, but I also wanted the opportunity to make some more spirit tokens. If we're buffing up an army as much as we are with the spirit buffs that are in the creatures, we might as well add things like Spectral Procession, Midnight Haunting, Triplicate Spirits, and actually, this card shouldn't even be in here. It was Lingering Souls, but I noticed that Lingering Souls has a flashback that includes black mana cost. So I will add a different card in there for that. I'm glad I saw that. It's been a while since I played this. We have some removal with True Love's Kiss, including some card draw. Revoke Existence, once again, exile, get a bonus. Same thing, Curse of the Swine, get double tokens. Got some enchantments in no particular order. Favorable Winds, to talk about more buffs. Intangible Virtue, buff over buff. We have two enchantments that manifests to give us creatures, and then when we bounce it, whether it's either light form or others, that every time you bounce that permanent, the creature, hopefully, that is under it flips over, and we get the value from that creature, and then we get the card off the top of the library again. So you can continue to flicker and to get cards off the top of your deck for value. I want to make sure we exile things, especially of our opponents, with something like Stasis Snare. To get some extra value from Nico Defies Destiny, get up to number 3, flicker it. And then lastly, to help protect our commander, we've got Steel of the Godhead. Now on to some of the bounce and protection. We have protection in the form of Brave the Elements and Dawn Charm. Indestructibility with Unbreakable Formation. A flicker effect with Eerie Interlude. And another indestructible with Make a Stand. Because with as many tokens as we're creating, we're going to hit on some board wipe hate pretty quick. We have just a couple counterspells. Yes, it's a blue deck, but I didn't want to focus heavily on the counterspells. So we've got Rebuff the Wicked that, like Ryan over from Cure for the Common Game, our format is a tap out and play format. People aren't going to be expecting Rebuff the Wicked. Or are going to be expecting things like Mana Tithe and other white conditional counterspells that come out of left field. We've got Overrule and Hindering Light. I just have 2 board wipes in the deck. The first one being Cleansing Nova, especially if our commander's enchanted. I don't mind sometimes wiping my tokens for a board that's got a lot more than just 1/1 flyers. And then Winds of Wrath. With that, we move on to our non-basic lands, and there's kind of a gaggle of them. We've got Command Tower, some Search with Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, and Myriad Landscape. We have some card selection with Halimar Depths, and some graveyard recursion with Mystic Sanctuary. We have the ability to draw extra cards with Memorial to Genius, and some cycling with Secluded Steppe. Gates of Istafel is also there for life gain and card draw, and some prevention in the form of Prov. Next up comes our duels. We have Mystic Gate, Azorius Chancery, Tranquil Cove, Azorius Guildgate, Sejuri Refuge, Temple of Enlightenment, Glacial Floodplain, and Meandering River. With that, this has been Ranar, the Everwatchful. I'm glad you guys could join me as we keep going through our 32 deck challenge and beyond as I continue to build. With that, stay tuned, as next up we're going to look at Firesong and Sunspeaker and the fun shenanigans that can come from doubling damage and gaining life. With that, stay tuned, Stewie MTG. Catch you all later.